The boardroom fell silent. Marcus Chen, CEO of Chen Industries, stood frozen at the mahogany table. His lawyers had just delivered the worst news possible. "We're losing the Morrison account," his lead attorney said. "They want someone who can communicate with their deaf daughter. You know, someone who actually understands their world." Marcus felt his empire cracking. $20 billion. Built from nothing, and now, "Sir," his assistant whispered, "there's a cleaning lady outside. She's making gestures at her daughter." Marcus turned toward the glass doors. Through them, he saw Maria Santos, the night janitor. She was moving her hands in quick, flowing patterns. Her teenage daughter responded the same way. "Get them out," Marcus snapped. "I don't have time for—" But something stopped him cold. Stick till the end. At 80%, there's a reveal you won't see coming. Subscribe to our channel for more life-changing stories. 2 hours earlier, Marcus had been untouchable. Chen Industries owned half the tech companies in Silicon Valley. Marcus spoke 7 languages. He closed deals worth millions before breakfast. But the Morrison family was different. John Morrison ran the largest accessibility foundation in America. His 8-year-old daughter, Emma, was born deaf. The foundation contract would make Marcus the richest man in California. "Mr. Chen," Morrison had said during their video call, "money doesn't matter here. What matters is heart, understanding. Can you truly connect with my daughter's world?" Marcus had nodded confidently. Of course. He lied. Now standing in his 40th floor office, Marcus watched his world collapse. The Morrison deal was worth $8 billion. Without it, 3 of his companies would fold. His phone buzzed. Another investor pulling out, then another. Marcus loosened his tie. His hands shook. But then something happened that would change. Everything? Maria Santos pushed her cleaning cart down the marble hallway. She moved, quietly, invisible, the way she'd learned to survive in this world of suits and money. Her daughter Sophia walked beside her, 17 years old, beautiful dark eyes that had never heard a sound. "Mama, why do we have to work so late?" Sophia signed. Maria's hands moved in response. "Because Mr. Chen's meeting ran long. The offices are dirty." They'd been coming to Chen Industries for 3 years. Every night. Maria cleaned. Sophia helped when she wasn't studying. Neither of them knew that behind the glass doors, Marcus Chen was having the worst day of his life. Sophia paused by the boardroom windows. She could see the stress on Marcus's face, the way his shoulders curved inward. "He looks sad," she signed to her mother. "Rich men don't get sad," Maria replied. "They get angry," Sophia disagreed. She'd learned to read faces differently than hearing people. She saw pain where others saw power. Marcus noticed them watching. His first instinct was irritation. Then he saw Sophia's hands moving. Quick, precise, beautiful. Something clicked in his brain. "Sir?" His assistant James appeared at his elbow. "Should I ask security to move them along?" Marcus stared at Sophia's signing. An idea began forming. "No," he said slowly. "Actually, bring them in." James looked confused. "Sir?" "The cleaning woman and her daughter." "Bring them in." 5 minutes later, Maria stood awkwardly in the boardroom. Her uniform felt shabby against the leather chairs and crystal water glasses. Sophia stayed close to her mother's side. "You," Marcus pointed at Sophia. "You do that hand thing, right?" Maria translated his words into sign language. Sophia nodded. "Good," Marcus said. "I need you to teach me, fast." James laughed. "Sir, with respect, sign language takes years to—" "I don't have years," Marcus snapped. "I have until tomorrow morning." He turned to Maria. "I'll pay you. Both of you. $500 for the night." Maria's eyes widened. That was more than she made in a month, but Sophia was already shaking her head. "Tell him no," she signed to her mother. Marcus caught the gesture. "What did she say?" Maria hesitated. She said no, sir." The room went silent. Marcus felt his face burn. A janitor's daughter was refusing him. But then something happened that no one saw coming. Sophia stepped forward. Her hands moved with quiet dignity. "Tell him," she signed to her mother, "that sign language isn't something you buy. It's something you earn." Maria's voice trembled as she translated. Marcus felt a strange sensation. No one had ever told him no. Not like this. "I don't think you understand," he said, his voice rising. "This is the most important deal of my life. I need Sophia's hands cut him off. Tell him, she signed, that maybe that's his problem. The boardroom fell dead silent. James stepped forward. Sir, should I call security? Marcus raised his hand. He was staring at Sophia with something like, Respect, what's your name? He asked her directly. Sophia looked at her mother, then back at Marcus. Her hand spelled out Sofia. Sophia, Marcus repeated. You think I can't learn? Sophia studied his face for a long moment. Then her hands moved again. She says, Maria translated carefully. She thinks you've never had to really learn anything, not where it mattered. Marcus felt like he'd been slapped because deep down he knew she was right, but then something happened that would change both their lives forever. Fine, Marcus said, his voice cold. You want me to earn it? Challenge accepted. He loosened his collar, pulled out a chair. Sit, he told Sophia. Both of you. Maria looked terrified, but Sophia moved to the chair with calm confidence. Here's the deal, Marcus said. You teach me what I need to know. If I can sign a basic conversation by morning, you get the 500, plus a job for your mother, real job. Not cleaning. Sophia's eyebrows raised. But, Marcus continued, if I fail, I'll double your mother's salary, for life, and I'll personally fund your college education, James whispered urgently in his ear. Sir, you can't be serious. Marcus waved him off. He was staring directly at Sophia now. Do we have a deal? Sophia's hands were still for a long moment. She was thinking, then she looked at her mother. Sign something quick and private. Maria's face went pale. What did she say? Marcus demanded. Maria's voice was barely a whisper. She said, okay, but you have to really try. No shortcuts. No giving up, Marcus smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Little girl, I've built a $20 billion empire. I think I can handle some hand gestures. Sophia's expression didn't change, but her next signs were crystal clear. Maria translated reluctantly. She says, we'll see. The clock on the wall read 9:47 p.m. Marcus Chen had no idea he was about to face the hardest lesson of his life. But then, something happened that would shatter everything he thought he knew. Sophia stood up. Walked to the whiteboard. She wrote one word, respect. Then she turned to Marcus. Her hands moved slowly, deliberately. This, she signed, is the word for respect. Her right hand touched her forehead, then moved out toward Marcus. Simple, Marcus said. He tried to copy the motion. Sophia shook her head, pointed to his hand position. Wrong, she signed. You're not showing respect. You're showing dismissal. Maria translated nervously. Marcus tried again. Same result, it's the exact same motion. He snapped. Sophia walked over to him, gently adjusted his hand angle. The difference was tiny, maybe 2 degrees. In sign language, she explained through her mother, the smallest change means everything. Like in business, yes? 1 decimal point wrong and millions are lost. Marcus felt something shift in his chest. This girl understood precision in a way he'd never expected. Try again, Maria translated. Marcus repeated the sign. This time, Sophia nodded approval. Good, she signed, then added something else. Now you know 1 word. Only 49,999 to go. Marcus stared at her. You're joking. Sophia's expression was perfectly serious. But then, something happened that made Marcus realize this wasn't a game. The next hour was the hardest of Marcus's life. Every sign was wrong. Every gesture missed the mark. His hands cramped. His shoulders ached. His pride crumbled piece by piece. You're thinking too much, Sophia signed during a break. Sign language comes from the heart, not the head. I don't understand, Marcus said, frustrated. Sophia walked to the window. The city sparkled below them. When you talk, she signed, you use your voice. When I talk, I use everything. My face, my body. My soul, she turned back to him. You want to win the Morrison deal? Stop trying to learn signs. Start trying to understand silence. Marcus felt something crack inside him. This wasn't about hand gestures. This was about entering a world he'd never imagined. How do I do that? He asked quietly. Sophia smiled for the first time that night. Close your eyes, she signed. Marcus hesitated. Trust me, she added. Against every instinct, Marcus closed his eyes. The boardroom went silent. No air conditioning hum, no traffic noise, no phone buzzes, just nothing. This, Sophia signed, though Marcus couldn't see, is where I live. When he opened his eyes, tears were running down his face. For the first time in his life, Marcus Chen understood what he didn't know. But then, something happened that would make him question everything about power, privilege, and the price of real connection. End of Act 1. The journey has just begun. At 80% of this story, there's a reveal that will change how you see everything. Don't miss it. The silence stretched between them. Marcus opened his eyes slowly. The tears on his cheeks felt foreign. When was the last time he'd cried? Sophia was watching him with those dark, knowing eyes. She didn't look like a teenager anymore. She looked like someone who understood pain. Better, she signed. Now you know what quiet feels like. Maria translated, her voice soft with surprise. She'd never seen her daughter this confident. Not around rich people. Marcus wiped his face with his sleeve. I think I understand. Sophia shook her head. Understanding takes time. You felt something. That's different. The clock read 11:23 p.m. They had 9 hours. Marcus looked at his phone. 17 missed calls. The Morrison meeting was at 8 a.m. sharp. We need to work faster, he said. Sophia's hands moved with sudden sharpness. There it is again. What? The hurry, the rush. You think deaf people live in fast forward? Marcus felt his temper rising. I have a deadline. We have a lifetime, Sophia cut him off. Every conversation I've ever had required patience. From me, from others. You want to speak my language? Learn my pace. She walked to the whiteboard, wrote a single word, slow, then she turned back to Marcus. Her next signs were deliberate, careful. Tell me about your deal. Marcus blinked. What? The Morrison family? What do you know about them? Marcus straightened his tie. Business, this he could handle. John Morrison, 43 years old. Runs the Morrison Foundation. Net worth $50 million. Has one daughter. Sophia's expression grew cold. That's not what I asked. But then, something happened that made Marcus realize how little he actually knew. Maria stepped forward nervously. Sophia, maybe we should... No, Mama. Sophia's signs were firm. He needs to hear this. She turned back to Marcus. What's the daughter's name? Emma, Marcus said quickly. How old? 8. What is she like? Marcus paused. What do you mean? Toys, games, colors, dreams. What makes Emma Morrison smile? The boardroom fell silent. Marcus realized he had no idea. When did she lose her hearing? Sophia continued. I don't know. Was she born deaf? I'm not sure. Does she have deaf friends? Hearing friends both? Marcus felt his confidence crumbling. Why does that matter? Sophia's next signs were sharp as knives. Because you want to win her father's trust. But you don't care about her at all. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow, because they were true. But then, something happened that changed the entire game. Sophia walked to Marcus's laptop. Opened it without asking. Hey, Marcus started, but Sophia was already typing. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with surprising speed. Morrison Foundation website, she signed while navigating. Emma Morrison, age 8. Born hearing. Lost her hearing at age 4 due to meningitis. She clicked on a video. The screen filled with a little girl in a yellow dress. Emma Morrison was playing in a garden. Her hands moved in graceful signs as she talked to her father. But Marcus noticed something else. Emma kept touching things. Flowers. Tree bark. Her father's face. She's learning the world through touch, Sophia explained. Like I did. Marcus leaned closer. You lost your hearing too? Sophia's hands stilled. Maria answered for her daughter. Born deaf, both ears. The doctors said she'd never be normal. Marcus looked at Sophia with new eyes. But you are normal. Sophia's laugh was silent, but her expression was pure joy. Normal is boring, she signed. I am extraordinary. And in that moment, Marcus began to see it too. But then something happened that made him question everything he thought he knew about power. The laptop chimed. An email notification. Marcus glanced at the screen and went pale. What is it? Maria asked. Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. Morrison moved up the meeting. It's now at 6 a.m. He looked at the clock. 12:47 a.m. 5 hours and 13 minutes. We need to... Marcus started. Sophia slammed her hand on the table. The sound echoed through the boardroom. Everyone froze. Stop, she signed, her face fierce. Stop running. Stop panicking. Stop thinking this is about you. Marcus felt his world spinning. But there is always time for what matters. The question is, what matters to you? She pointed at the laptop screen. Emma Morrison was laughing in the video, her hands dancing as she signed with her father. That little girl matters. Her happiness matters. Her world matters. Sophia stepped closer to Marcus. You want to learn sign language in 5 hours? Fine, but first you learn something more important. What? You learn to care. But then something happened that would test Marcus in ways he never imagined. Sophia pulled out her phone. Started recording. What are you doing? Marcus asked. Making a video. For Emma. Marcus backed away. No, absolutely not. You can't what? Look foolish. Sophia's signs were relentless. You can't be imperfect. You can't be human. I have a reputation. Emma Morrison is 8 years old. She doesn't care about your reputation. She cares about kindness. Sophia held up her phone. Say hello to Emma. In sign language. Make mistakes. Be real. Marcus's hands shook. I don't know how, then learn. Right now. For her. The silence stretched between them. Marcus looked at Maria, who was watching with wide eyes, then back at Sophia, who stood waiting with infinite patience. Finally, Marcus raised his hands. His first attempt at hello was clumsy. Wrong hand shape. Wrong movement, Sophia corrected him gently. He tried again. Better, but still awkward. Again, Sophia signed. Marcus tried a third time. His hands found the right rhythm. Sophia smiled and started recording. Hello, Emma. Marcus signed slowly. My name is Marcus. His pronunciation in sign language was terrible. His facial expression was stiff, but something in his eyes was different. Softer. Real. But then, something happened that made Sophia realize this man was more broken than she'd imagined. Marcus's phone rang. Glanced at it and his face went white. Morrison, he whispered. Sophia grabbed the phone before Marcus could answer. She held it toward Maria. Tell him to answer. But don't lie. Marcus took the phone with trembling hands. Hello, Mr. Morrison. Marcus, came the voice through the speaker. I need to ask you something directly. Marcus's eyes found Sophia's. She nodded encouragement. Of course, Marcus said. Do you actually know sign language? The question hung in the air. Marcus looked at Sophia, at Maria, at the whiteboard covered in practice signs. He could lie. Say yes, fake it through the meeting, or... No, Marcus said quietly. I don't. Sophia's eyes widened with respect. I see, Morrison said. Then why did you tell me you could communicate with Emma? Marcus closed his eyes. Because I was desperate, and arrogant, and wrong. The silence on the phone stretched forever. Finally, Morrison spoke. I appreciate your honesty. The deal is off, isn't it? Marcus asked. Actually, Morrison said, I'd like to meet anyway. 6 a.m. still work? Marcus blinked. Yes, but why? Because you just did something my business partners rarely do. You told me the truth. The call ended. Marcus stared at his phone in shock, but then something happened that would change everything. He thought he knew about winning. Sophia was clapping silently, her face bright with joy. That was perfect, she signed. Perfect? Marcus laughed bitterly. I just confessed I lied to him. No, you just showed him who you really are. Marcus slumped into his chair. A fraud? Sophia walked over to him, knelt down so they were eye level. A human being, she signed. Someone who makes mistakes. Someone who can learn. Someone Emma can trust. She stood up and walked to the whiteboard. Under respect and slow, she wrote, Honest. These are the only 3 words you need tomorrow. She signed. Everything else is just practice. Maria translated, then added softly, She's right, Mr. Chen. My daughter, she sees things differently than us. Marcus looked at Sophia with new understanding. How do you do it? Do what? See the good in people. Even when they don't deserve it. Sophia's smile was radiant. Because I live in a world where people have to try harder to understand me. Most give up. But some really try. Those are the ones worth knowing. She pointed at Marcus. You're trying. But then something happened that would reveal Sophia's own hidden pain. Maria's phone buzzed. A text message. She read it and her face crumpled. What is it, Mama? Sophia signed quickly. Maria showed her the message. Sophia's face went pale. Marcus saw their distress. What's wrong? Maria wiped her eyes. The landlord. He wants us out by Friday. Why? Because I missed school last week, Sophia signed, her composure cracking. I was sick. The truancy officer complained to our apartment manager. Marcus felt something twist in his chest. You'll lose your home? We've lost 3 homes in 2 years, Sophia signed, tears starting to fall. Every time I miss school, we get in trouble. Every time Mama misses work, we can't pay rent. The confidence Sophia had shown all night was crumbling. I'm tired of being a burden, she signed. Her hands shaking. Sophia, Marcus started, but Sophia was backing toward the door. This was a mistake. You don't need me. You need someone better, someone who doesn't cause problems. She was almost to the exit when Marcus did something that surprised everyone. He stood up and signed. His form was terrible. His hand shape wrong, but the meaning was clear. Please stay. Sophia stopped. Please, Marcus signed again. I need you. But then something happened that would test the connection they'd built. Sophia turned around slowly. You don't mean that, she signed. Marcus walked toward her. His next signs were clumsy but determined. You are not a burden. You are a teacher. Tears rolled down Sophia's cheeks. Teachers get paid fairly, she signed back. They get respect. They get to keep their homes. The truth of it hit Marcus like a hammer. Here was this brilliant, patient, wise young woman, and she was homeless. Here was her mother, Maria, working 3 jobs and still couldn't make ends meet, while he worried about billion-dollar deals from his penthouse. Marcus pulled out his phone. Started typing. What are you doing? Maria asked. Fixing this, Marcus said. He sent an email to his property manager, then another to his legal team. What did you do? Sophia signed. Marcus met her eyes. I bought your apartment building. Sophia's mouth fell open. The eviction notice is canceled. Your rent is paid through the end of the year, and your mother has a new job tomorrow if she wants it. What job? Sophia asked. Director of Community Relations at Chen Industries. $50,000 a year to start. Maria started crying, but Sophia was studying Marcus's face carefully. Why? She signed. Marcus thought for a long moment. Because you taught me that some things matter more than money. But then, something happened that would reveal the biggest challenge was still ahead. The boardroom door burst open. James rushed in, followed by 3 other executives. Sir, we have a problem, James said breathlessly. Marcus turned. What now? Morrison's Foundation. We just found out they're not just looking for sign language capability. What do you mean? James looked uncomfortable. They want someone who can teach other companies, set up entire deaf accessibility programs. This isn't just about one meeting. Marcus felt the weight of it. They want expertise, real expertise, years of experience. He looked at Sophia, who was following the conversation through her mother's translations. How long have you known sign language? Marcus asked her. 17 years, Sophia replied. My whole life. Could you teach others? Sophia's eyes lit up. I already do. At the community center. Every weekend. Marcus turned to his executives. What if I brought someone who actually knows what they're doing? James looked confused. You mean hire a consultant? I mean hire Sophia. The room went silent. James sputtered. Sir, she's a child. She's 17, Marcus said firmly. And she knows more about deaf accessibility than all of us combined. He turned to Sophia. Would you consider a job? Teaching sign language to my company? Sophia's eyes were wide. What about school? Work around it, part-time. Flexible hours. Good pay. Sophia looked at her mother, who was crying again, then back at Marcus. Why trust me? She signed. Marcus smiled. His answer came in halting but sincere sign language. Because you taught me to trust myself, but then something happened that would change everything about the morning ahead. The clock struck 4 a.m., 2 hours until the Morrison meeting. Marcus looked around the boardroom. At Sophia, exhausted but determined. At Maria, still in shock from the night's revelations. At his executives trying to process what they'd witnessed. Here's what we're going to do, Marcus said. He turned to Sophia. You come with me to meet Morrison. Sophia's eyes widened. Me? But I'm not. You're not what? Qualified? You've been living deaf accessibility your entire life. Marcus turned to his team. Sophia will be our new director of deaf services. She'll oversee the Morrison contract and help us build accessibility programs across all our companies. James spoke up nervously. Sir, what if Morrison doesn't? Then we'll have learned something valuable anyway, Marcus said. That doing the right thing matters more than making the deal. He looked back at Sophia. What do you say? Sophia was quiet for a long moment. Then she walked to the whiteboard. Under respect, slow and honest, she wrote one more word. Courage. Okay, she signed. Let's go change the world. But as the sun began to rise over Silicon Valley, none of them knew that the biggest revelation was still to come. Something about Sophia's past that would reframe everything they thought they understood about fate, family, and the power of second chances. The Morrison meeting was 2 hours away, and Marcus, Chen was about to discover that some connections run deeper than anyone could imagine. The morning air was crisp as Marcus's limousine pulled up to the Morrison Foundation building. Sophia sat beside him, wearing a borrowed blazer that was too big for her. She'd never been in a car this expensive. Her hands trembled slightly. Are you nervous? Marcus signed. His form was still clumsy, but the meaning was clear. Sophia managed a small smile. Always. But nervous means it matters. Through the car window, they could see the Morrison Foundation. It was smaller than Marcus expected, warmer. The lobby had bright colors and children's artwork on the walls. It feels friendly, Sophia signed. Marcus loosened his tie. I'm used to intimidating buildings. This is different. Maria squeezed her daughter's hand from the opposite seat. She was wearing her best dress but still looked terrified. Ready? Marcus asked. Sophia nodded. But as they stepped out of the car, something happened that would change everything. A small girl came running out of the building. Emma Morrison. She had blonde pigtails and bright green eyes. Her hands moved in rapid, joyful signs as she ran toward them, but she wasn't running to Marcus. She was running straight to Sophia. You came, Emma signed, throwing her arms around Sophia. Daddy said maybe you wouldn't come. Sophia's face went white. Marcus stepped forward, confused. Sophia, do you know Emma? Sophia's hands were frozen. She couldn't sign. Couldn't speak. Emma kept chattering in sign language. I've missed you so much. It's been 3 years. Daddy cried when he found out you were alive. Marcus felt the world tilt. What is she saying? But Sophia was backing away, shaking her head. Emma's expression changed to concern. Sophia? Don't you remember me? That's when John Morrison appeared in the doorway. He was a tall man with kind eyes and graying hair. When he saw Sophia, he stopped dead. Tears started streaming down his face. Sophia Santos, he whispered. My God, you're alive. But then something happened that revealed the truth everyone had been missing. Marcus stepped between them. Mr. Morrison, I think there's been some confusion. No confusion, Morrison said, never taking his eyes off Sophia. Sophia was Emma's first sign language teacher. At the children's hospital. Before she disappeared, the words hit like lightning. Sophia's voice was barely audible. Mr. Morrison? You remember, Morrison said, walking slowly toward her. You were 16. Emma was 5 and terrified. You taught her that being deaf wasn't scary, that it was just different. Emma grabbed Sophia's hands. You taught me that deaf people could do anything, remember? You said I could be a scientist or a teacher or anything I wanted. Sophia's tears started falling. Marcus's mind was reeling. Sophia, you never told me. I couldn't. Sophia signed to him. We left so suddenly. The hospital bills were too much. Mama couldn't pay. We had to disappear. Morrison stepped closer. We looked for you. Emma asked about you every day for months. I'm sorry. Sophia signed to Emma. I wanted to say goodbye, but we had to leave in the middle of the night. Emma hugged her tighter. I never forgot you, and look. She gestured excitedly. I kept learning. I'm the best signer in my whole school now. But then something happened that would reveal Morrison's real reason for this meeting. Sophia, Morrison said gently. When I contacted Mr. Chen about sign language services, I never imagined. I was actually looking for you. Marcus felt his legs go weak. What? The Morrison Foundation has been searching for Sophia for 2 years, Morrison explained. We wanted to offer her a full scholarship to college and a permanent position as our youth coordinator. He turned to Sophia. Emma talks about you constantly, how you made her feel normal, how you gave her confidence. You changed my daughter's life. Sophia was sobbing now. I was just doing my job. No, Emma signed fiercely. You were being my friend, my big sister, my hero. Marcus watched this reunion with growing amazement. The girl he'd met 12 hours ago as a janitor's daughter was Emma Morrison's childhood hero. The teenager he'd been teaching sign language to had actually been teaching it for years. The young woman he'd offered a job to was already being hunted by the biggest accessibility foundation in America, but then something happened that would show Marcus exactly how much he still didn't understand. Morrison turned to Marcus. "Mr. Chen, I have to ask, how did you find Sophia?" Marcus's mouth opened and closed. How could he explain? "He didn't find me," Sophia said quietly. "I was cleaning his offices." "Cleaning?" Morrison's eyebrows shot up. "My mother works nights at Chen Industries," Sophia continued. "I help her sometimes." Morrison looked at Marcus with new eyes. "You had Sophia Santos working as a janitor?" The accusation in his voice was clear. Marcus felt shame wash over him. "I didn't know who she was. That's the problem," Morrison said sharply. "You didn't bother to know?" The air in the lobby grew tense. Emma looked between the adults, sensing the conflict. "What's wrong?" She signed. But then something happened that would show everyone the real meaning of leadership. Sophia stepped forward. "Nothing is wrong, Emma. Mr. Chen has been very kind to me." She turned to Morrison. "Sir, with respect, Mr. Chen gave my family hope when we had none. He offered my mother a real job. He's trying to learn. That matters more than what he didn't know before." Marcus stared at Sophia in amazement. She was defending him. After everything. After he'd been arrogant and dismissive. After he'd tried to buy her time and knowledge. She was standing up for him. Morrison studied Sophia's face. "You really believe that?" "I believe people can change," Sophia signed. "I believe in second chances. And I believe Mr. Chen's heart is in the right place now." Emma clapped her hands. "Sophia always sees the good in people. That's why I love her." Morrison's expression softened. He looked at Marcus with new consideration. "Is that true, Mr. Chen? Has Sophia changed your perspective?" Marcus thought about the past 12 hours. About crying in his boardroom. About learning that deaf didn't mean less than. About discovering that some people carried wisdom far beyond their years. "She's changed everything," Marcus said honestly. But then something happened that would seal their partnership forever. Morrison smiled. "Then let's talk business." All of us, they moved to Morrison's office. It was warm and inviting, with pictures of Emma everywhere. "Here's what I'm proposing," Morrison said. "The Morrison Foundation partners with Chen Industries. Sophia becomes our joint director of youth services. She splits her time between our foundation and your company." He turned to Sophia. "Full college scholarship, flexible schedule around school, starting salary of $75,000 a year." Sophia's eyes went wide. "And," Morrison continued, looking at Marcus, "Chen Industries becomes our exclusive technology partner for accessibility services. $8 billion over 5 years." Marcus felt his heart racing. The deal he'd dreamed of. But now it felt different. It wasn't about his company anymore. It was about Sophia. "There's one condition," Morrison added. "What?" Marcus asked. "Sophia has to agree. This only works if she wants it." Everyone turned to look at Sophia. She was quiet for a long moment. Thinking. "Can I ask something?" She finally signed. "Of course," Morrison replied. "What about other kids? Kids like me who are stuck in the system? Who don't get found?" Morrison leaned forward. "What do you mean?" Sophia's hands moved with passionate precision. "I want this job to mean something. Not just for me, but for every deaf kid who gets overlooked. Every family that's struggling." She looked at Marcus, then back at Morrison. "I want to create a program. Free sign language classes for families, job training for deaf adults, college prep for deaf students." Morrison's smile grew wider. "That sounds like exactly what this foundation needs." But then something happened that would reveal Sophia's biggest dream. Sophia wasn't done. "And I want to create a scholarship for kids whose families have to choose between medical bills and education." She looked directly at Marcus. "Kids like I was 3 years ago." Marcus felt something click in his chest. "What would you call this scholarship?" he asked. Sophia smiled through her tears. "The Second Chance Scholarship." "How much would you need to start?" Sophia looked nervous. "Maybe 50,000 to help 10 kids the first year." Marcus pulled out his checkbook. He wrote a check and handed it to Sophia. Her eyes went huge. The check was for $1 million. Mr. Chen. Sophia's hand shook. That should help about 200 kids the first year, Marcus said. If you're okay with that. Sophia started crying again. Emma jumped up and down, clapping. Morrison wiped his own eyes. But then something happened that would bring everything full circle. Marcus stood up and walked to Morrison's whiteboard. He wrote 4 words: respect, slow, honest, courage. Then he turned to everyone in the room. Sophia taught me these words last night. Not just the signs. The meanings. He looked at Sophia. I spent 20 years building companies, making money, winning deals. But I never learned the most important thing. What's that? Morrison asked. That real success isn't about what you achieve. It's about who you become while achieving it. Sophia was beaming now. And who have you become? She signed. Marcus thought carefully before signing his response. A student. Still learning. Emma giggled and ran to Marcus. I can teach you more signs. Want to learn? Marcus knelt down to Emma's level. I would be honored. But then something happened that would create the perfect ending. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the same boardroom where everything had changed, but now it looked completely different. The walls had visual alerts for deaf employees. The conference table had built-in video screens for sign language interpreters. The company directory included photos and sign names for every employee. Sophia walked in, wearing a professional suit and carrying a tablet. She was no longer the scared teenager from that night. She was a confident young woman changing the world. Ready for the presentation? She signed. Marcus nodded. Ready. They were about to present Chen Industries' new accessibility model to 50 Fortune 500 companies. Sophia had designed the entire program. In 6 months, she'd revolutionized how Marcus's company worked. Deaf employees were hired. Sign language classes were mandatory for managers. The company had become a national model for inclusion. The Second Chance Scholarship had helped. 300 kids so far. Maria had been promoted twice and now managed a team of 20 people. But the biggest change was in Marcus himself. He'd learned to sign fluently. Not just the words. The heart. You know what I realized? Marcus signed as they prepared to enter the conference room. What? Sophia asked. That night when I thought I was teaching you about business, you were actually teaching me about life. Sophia smiled. We were teaching each other. Marcus paused at the conference room door. Sophia? Yes? Thank you. For seeing something in me that I didn't know was there, and Sophia's response was perfect. That's what family does, and the word hit Marcus like lightning. Family. This brilliant young woman had become like a daughter to him. Maria like a sister. Emma like a niece. He'd gained so much more than a business deal. He'd gained a family. But then something happened that would leave everyone with the most important lesson of all. They walked into the conference room. Marcus saw the audience. 50 of the most powerful CEOs in America. A year ago, this would have terrified him. Now, he felt calm because he wasn't alone. Sophia stood beside him, ready to change minds and open hearts. Marcus stepped to the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, he began. 6 months ago, I thought I knew what success looked like. I was wrong, he gestured to Sophia. Success looks like this. A 17-year-old girl who taught a billionaire that wisdom has nothing to do with wealth. Sophia walked forward and began signing as she spoke. My name is Sophia Santos. I am deaf. I am brilliant. I am unstoppable. And I'm here to teach you that disability is not inability. It's just a different way of seeing the world. The audience was transfixed. But more than that, Sophia continued, I'm here to teach you what Mr. Chen learned, that when you change how you see people, you change everything. She clicked to her first slide. Companies that embrace deaf employees are 35% more profitable. They have better teamwork, clearer communication, and more innovation. Marcus watched the CEOs lean forward, suddenly interested. But the real reason to hire deaf employees isn't profit, Sophia said. It's because we bring something you can't teach in business school. What's that? Called out one CEO. Sophia smiled. Perspective, patience, and the knowledge that the most important conversations happen without words. For the next hour, Sophia and Marcus presented their accessibility model. By the end, 30 companies had committed to implementation. But the real victory came afterward. A young deaf man approached Sophia. He'd been watching from the back of the room. "Thank you," he signed. "I've been looking for a job for 2 years. Everyone said I couldn't do office work because I can't hear phones ring." Sophia's response was swift and sure. "Can you think? Can you create? Can you solve problems? Yes, then you can do anything. Let me introduce you to some people." Marcus watched Sophia connect the young man with 3 different CEOs. By the end of the day, he had 2 job offers. That's when Marcus understood the final lesson. Success wasn't about building an empire, it was about building bridges, and Sophia Santos was the most gifted bridge builder he'd ever met. As they packed up their presentation, Marcus turned to Sophia. "What's next for us?" he signed. Sophia's smile was radiant. "We change the world, one conversation at a time." She paused and added with a grin, "But first, Emma wants to teach you how to sign nursery rhymes." "She says your technique needs work," Marcus laughed. "I'm a billionaire CEO and I'm getting signed language critiques from an 8-year-old. "Welcome to my world," Sophia signed back, "where everyone is a teacher and everyone is a student." As they walked out of the building together, Marcus reflected on how much his life had changed. He'd started with everything and learned he had nothing. He'd met a janitor's daughter and discovered she was a genius. He'd tried to buy respect and learned you could only earn it. He'd thought he was saving a business deal and ended up saving himself. The most important lesson of all was the simplest. Never judge someone by their circumstances. Judge them by their character. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, someone like Sophia Santos will come into your life and teach you that the most powerful force in the world isn't money or influence. It's the courage to see people for who they really are, and the wisdom to learn from anyone brave enough to teach you. Marcus Chen had built a $20 billion empire, but Sophia Santos had given him something infinitely more valuable. She'd given him a heart. If this story moved you, subscribe to our channel for more inspiring true stories that will change how you see the world. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done in Marcus's situation? Sometimes the most life-changing lessons come from the most unexpected teachers.